Sorry that we're a little late. We had a study session dealing with the upcoming budget. So we'll move on. Tonight we have to have a roll call of city council members because Councilmember Nakano is out of the country. Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Weber.
Present.
Councilmember Vienna.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ebner.
Here.
Mayor Badar.
Here. Please rise for the flag salute. Please join me and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll go into oral communications. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Council on all items under the provisions of the Brown Act. The legislative body is prohibited from engaging in discussions on any item not appearing on this posted agenda. However, your concerns will be referred to a staff or set for discussion at a later date. Each speaker will be limited to speaking once for up to 3 minutes. Madam City Clerk, do we have any cards?
Yes, Mayor. The first speaker is Mark Hokanson, speaking on the 54-unit proposed development on East Foothill Boulevard.
Good evening, distinguished mayor and council members. I apologize if this is not the appropriate time or place. I was led to believe this was my opportunity to address the council. I'm sorry, are you able to hear me? I'm a lifetime member of this community. I have 18 years of accounting experience both in the private and public sector at multiple different school districts, and I currently work at a local municipality as a civil servant and lifetime community member. I felt if given the opportunity to present this situation to the board, I wanted to bring it to your attention that my wife also is a teacher, and I just recently found out about this proposed development of 64 units. I recently, in the last year, purchased a home in North Laverne. I had my child at one of the child cares that's less than half a mile from there. I pulled my child from that school. I was considering the school right next door to this proposed development. I had to call them and let them know to no longer consider my child a proposed student of that business as well. And then there was a third one that was also a quarter mile from there that I can't consider either. So I'm glad that I just pulled my child and moved her to another school, because as other parents find out about it, I'm concerned that those other schools will also be impacted. So I just wanted to let you know that, you know, when I've gone to look at apartments in the past, they've told me, okay, you can put 2 residents plus 1 in any unit. But so by my simple accounting math, I see a potential of 150 people living in a complex that has 19 parking spaces, 5 stories tall, in a community that doesn't have anything over 1 or 2 stories. They're in Pomona. They have one building that they put up that's 3 stories tall. It looks like, you know, you can't miss it as you're driving down Town Boulevard next to Holt. You know, I just bought a house in this community, and I was advised to not purchase in Los Angeles County, but as a longtime resident, I felt that this was where I wanted to raise my family. And I can't help but think that as someone that just bought a house, I got only 29 and a half years left of mortgage payments, that my value is going to go down. The enrollment in school districts is going to go down as more and more people hear about it. You know, once someone knows and once word gets out, it's a domino effect. So I apologize if this wasn't the appropriate time or place to bring this up. I was under the impression there would be a lot more people that would know more about the subject and would be bringing it to your attention. So I apologize, but I thank you for letting me hearing me out.
Thank you, sir.
Next speaker is Marilyn Hokanson, speaking on the 54-unit proposed development.
Good evening.
I'm here with my son, and I'm the grandma. I have a 2-year-old granddaughter who was attending one of the preschools in this area, less than half a mile away from where this proposed building is going to go up. I'm a retired educator over 30 years. I have cared about children always. And when we went interviewing daycares, we went to all the schools in this area. We went from one to another to find out what's the best place to put our child in. She's now 2 years old. That facility is less than half away from where this proposal is. I've driven there. I've picked her up. I've dropped her off. I know the families of young children. You know, there are no sidewalks. We've went to that Montessori school that's supposedly right next door. I know there are therapy units, buildings, and in the mall on the corner. We're intimately familiar with this area, and this is going to have tremendous impact, not just on the traffic, not just on the neighbors, but on I think our most valuable resources are children. And I hope to goodness that the people here are as concerned about the children, not the environmental impact, not the traffic impact, not our real estate values, but we have young children, multiple schools in that area that are going to be adversely affected. I mean, they're within a stone's throw, and there will be people walking because there's only 19 parking spaces. I guess they're expecting a lot of pedestrians. And what will our children and our families, how safe will our families feel? They have those wrought iron fences around. It's open because that's why people move to this area. They love the fact that there are open spaces and our children can run in playgrounds and be safe in playgrounds. But I'm afraid as an educator that it's going to be have a devastating impact on our young people. I know I'm here just to comment, to make you aware that there will be ongoing, talks about this, but we are very concerned, and I'm concerned as an educator about the children. I know you all are. I know this is a family community, and that's the most important effect that it's going to have, I believe, is on the families in our area. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, ma'am.
Those are all the speaker cards.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to? Margie Green?
Good evening, City Council. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for listening to this. Sylvia Melendez isn't going to be here to say this tonight, so I get to say it. Our school district is great, and coming up on May 16th at 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock at Life Pacific University, we're going to honor the teachers. These are the teachers of the year, and what are our students without great teachers? And we have some really great teachers that we want to honor that evening, and it's going to be a fine thing. It will be to tell them how much the community really appreciates them. So if you would like to come to that, and there again, it's May 16th, starting at 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. You can get there at 4:30 for being sociable. And it's going to be at Life Pacific University, and that's 1100 West Covina Boulevard here in San Dimas. And come and just be there for the teachers and let them know that you appreciate it. If you would like to make reservations for that, the dinner is $40, and that helps buy gifts for the teachers and plaques and to show the appreciation. But contact the Chamber of Commerce and let them know you'd like to come, and you can get to them by going to information at sandimaschamber.com, or call Sylvia at the chamber office, and they'll be glad to lead you through it. But it is a great time to honor teachers, so I'm hoping you all will be there. Thank you.
Thank you. And Life Pacific College is they're a great host. The facility's good. Haven't gone there to the Teacher of the Year ceremonies for several years. The teachers, the people that make a difference in our kids' lives, really appreciate it, and they'd like to see the community support. So please consider it. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the council? Seeing none, we'll move on to recognitions. Today we want to recognize that April 23rd was Arbor Day. If you had an opportunity, we really truly celebrated Arbor Day that day. We had lots of things going on in the downtown area because of the events that were going on. I think that our staff, our volunteers did a great job of supporting the Arbor Day mission. The next thing I'd like to recognize is the arts. This month is Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, and that's the month of April. We normally would make a presentation, but we have no one from that organization here. So at this point, we're just acknowledge the fact that Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. And then we also have National Crime Victims' Right Week. That goes from April 23rd through the 29th. And we just want to make sure that everyone realizes that we here in San Dimas remember all three of these events, and we realize that the importance of each one of them. Our next presentation will be the 54th Annual Professionals Municipal Clerks Week, and that runs from May 1st through May the 6th. Okay, I'll read this proclamation, then I'll ask Deborah Black and Leslie Munoz to step up to the podium. Okay, 54th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of our local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of Professional Municipal Clerks is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of Professional Municipal Clerks provides the professional link between the citizens and local governing bodies and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas Professional Municipal Clerks serve as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk. Now, therefore, I, Emmett G. Badar, Mayor Pro Tem John Ebner, Council Members Ryan Vienna, Eric Weber, and Eric Nakano, hereby recognize the week of May 1st through May 6th as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciations to our Professional Municipal Clerk, Deborah Black, and all our Professional Municipal Clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. In witness thereof, I, Emmett G. Badar, have hereon set my hand and caused the seal of the City of San Dimas to be affixed this 25th day of April 2023. Deborah? Leslie? It's not often I get to make a proclamation to a person that attests this thing. This is our city clerk, Deborah Black. Thank you, guys. Leslie. She's nobody without you.
Wait, we have one more. This is fun. You guys are going to love this.
Oh, yeah. Very well. That's
Tonight, we have a presentation from the South Coast AQMD, Michael Kagati. Excuse me for butchering the name. Okay, he's a governing board vice president of the South Coast AQMD.
Pleasure, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city manager, staff. Great to see everyone. Get it up on the board. So, Mayor, I'm your representative on the South Coast AQMD. I represent the 34 cities, Eastern LA County, from Claremont, San Dimas, all the way to Santa Clarita. 2 million people, and you're my boss. And here's the AQMD for people that don't know. It was formed way back in the 70s, right after the EPA was formed and the Federal Clean Air Act came out, because the air was so bad, as it still is today, but much improved. That's a group in the Inland Empire on the left, assembly member then Congressman Jerry Lewis, demanding cleaner air. 17 million people. It's the 4 counties, LA, Orange, San Bernardino, Riverside. We permit 28,000 different sources I'll talk about later. And 1/3 of all U.S. containerized cargo traffic comes through our twin ports, LA and Long Beach at the bottom. We break pollution into 2 sources. On the left, stationary sources, which we regulate as the South Coast AQMD, cleaner solvents, paint, auto body, spray shops, gas stations, the vapors that come out, power plants, oil refineries, landfills, etc. That's 20% of the pollution in our basin. Some you can see, some you can't. The biggest sources are mobile, the ocean-going vessels, airplanes, trains, not only freight trains, but all the other trains you hear coming by, and that includes 250-plus trains from Metrolink and Amtrak every single day. And their diesel, we've given them $60 million over the last 10 years to upgrade to the cleanest diesel, but still, it's not great for you to breathe in. Cars, trucks, heavy-duty trucks, and again, off-road equipment, whether it's tractors or even lawn equipment. Last year, lawn equipment in California as a source of pollution, a category, surpassed cars and light-duty trucks for the first time because there's no pollution controls on it, where cars have catalytic converters if they don't get stolen. Next, here's the 2 pollutions we don't meet federal standards, and it's not good because we could be in violation very soon. Ozone, formed on the left by nitric oxide, volatile organic compounds come together, sunlight, photochemical reaction, smog. On the right, this stuff is really serious. It's a really small stuff, particulate matter. Mayor, when we all came in here, we kicked up dust, and that gray stick is your human hair, our human hair, and the blue circle is a PM10. That's the dust we kicked up, how small it is. You can't see it, but in the morning you have sunlight, and you kind of look outside and you see all that stuff. That's kind of the dust. PM 2.5 is smaller from internal combustion created by that. Even smaller at the very top left, that really ultra fine little red dot. That's really dangerous because that goes through your blood-brain barrier and lodges in your organs. And studies are coming out now, not every year, but every week, on the dangers what it does to human beings. And here's why we're so passionate about it. That's your body, that's your neighbor, your family, your kids, your wife, your husband. We always knew about asthma, pulmonary issues, but now we know it affects cardiovascular, and it goes in your nervous system. We've done tests with the rats near the freeway, and right at Cedars-Sinai, we spent several $million, one of the top neurosurgeons there, to bring the rats back. And after the exposure, they noticed that there was an expression in the genes consistent with Alzheimer's in people. Never did human studies except until this past January in University of British Columbia, if you want to watch it. Put it in University of British Columbia test. They exposed them to particulate matter you and I would be by a freeway. They took an MRI of their brain before, MRI after exposure. After exposure, they noticed significant cognitive reduction. Also, the connections between the neurons were affected too. It's only a couple hours of exposure. Afterwards, they return to normal, but it shows the impact of the pollution we breathe is serious on all our body. If we could meet clean air standards, improve our public health, reduce pollution, here's the benefits. We would reduce premature death by 1,500 a year in our basin, prevent hospitalizations, a lot of kids with asthma, prevent lost days from work and school by kids and adults. Mayor, I coach soccer and I've coached for over 30 years. This is the first year I had 3 kids on my team that had asthma, inhalers, nebulizers every practice, every game, had to pull them out sometimes. Even though our air is getting a little better, it's still bad for a lot of people that may have compromised immune systems. And we'd save $19 billion in health costs. Good news, mixed news is on the left, that's ozone from the 90s. You can see it's going down, 8-hour valuations, but it's kind of leveled off, getting better. On the right, in 2012, the cancer-causing metals like the brakes and stuff that blow in the air. It was pretty high. The purple wasn't good. It's gotten a lot better with different technologies, but still concerning. Again, here's the trouble. We can't regulate this as EPA and the state does, but they're not doing their job. The trains, the ships, the off-road equipment, the planes. What happens if we don't meet these clean air standards at the bottom 2023 this year, 2031, 2037? The three squares, US EPA on the left, they regulate all the mobile sources. CARB is the state, they regulate some mobile courses, railroads. And then there's us, we do the stationary sources. Here's what could happen. They could require anybody that wants to open a business, pay more money for a permit. And they'll take that money and give it to reduce pollution, new technologies, electric, hydrogen, fuel cell. The worst is in the middle, they could say, okay, we're going to take away all your highway federal funding. And there was a draft EPA sanction against California several years ago, and that was part of the draft to take all the money away. And the final draft on the federal side was even worse. The implementation plan said on Mondays, we're going to require only even number cars, on Tuesdays, only odd number cars. Never went into effect, but it could, by the Clean Air Act, mandates it. Good news is, there's a lot, I want to tell you, Mayor, for you and your residents, there's a lot of funding we have available. On the left, you want to get a clean air furnace, we will just give you, no matter what you make, $1,500 off. You want to get an electric lawnmower, turn in your old gas polluting one, we'll give you up to $250 for a self-propelled. You get an electric vehicle, we give you $250 for a level 2 charger. And if you make under a certain amount, we'll give you $500. I just got the charge point for $850, so you pay anywhere between $400, $800 without this incentive. So a great incentive. If you got an old polluting car at home and you know a neighbor that does, turn it in. We'll give you up to $9,500 depending on your income for a cleaner gas car, a Prius, a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or all electric car, hydrogen fuel cell. If you don't want a car, we had a couple people want electric bikes. We got money paid for the entire electric bike. Or if you want a transit pass, we'll pay for that basically forever. So a lot of money available, Mayor, and just go on there and click that. And now for businesses and cities, Mr. Mayor, a lot of money also. So there's a number of programs statewide we administer, and at the bottom left, you said heavy-duty truck. If you've got any businesses that have heavy-duty trucks in your city, there's a couple $100,000 off to convert from diesel to natural gas or hydrogen fuel cell or electric. At the bottom, we got $70,000 from a state program for South Pass and electric shuttle. We just got another one. They're getting better. I noticed you're talking about your budget. A lot of money now available. Please look into it. Rainbow from our staff is here. Myself, Tim Sandoval, Mayor Pomona worked with us. We're happy to work with you. Big incentive program, and I'm going to ask the Vice Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem to come down on this. We have two programs for your gardeners, for your city, Mr. Mayor, for school districts, mom and pop gardeners. We will, if you turn in the worst thing is those leaf blowers right there. You see the backpack blower the guy's got in orange from Still. Makita's got a chainsaw right there. The state program gives you 70% off. Don't got to turn anything in. Just walk into Ace Hardware, Lowe's, whoever does it, and they will just, the dealer does all the work. Don't have to turn anything in. Show you're a contractor, you're a landscape contractor, here's 70% off. Additionally, AQMD has a program just started a few weeks ago. So there's $3 million that program, AQMD, about $14 million left in the state program. That's going down fast. We just opened ours. We'll give you 85% off. But you got to turn in an old piece of equipment. If you're going to get a new leaf blower, 85% off, you got to turn in the old dirty one. So if Mr. Ebner can come down, I'd like to show you how powerful the equipment is now, Mr. Mayor. We just did a test at LA Unified about 2 or 3 weeks ago. 100 by 50 lot. One was electric, one was gas. And the electric weed whacker beat the gas for the first time. So I just want to show you, this is a handheld blower, and it's typical, still is one of the best models out of Germany, and we'll show you what it can do. And I actually, Mayor, I won't charge you. I didn't charge Baldwin Park or Pomona, but I blew your courtyard for a few minutes right before the meeting. Mr. Edler, you want to show them what it does? Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I know we'd go out of control.
Now, how long will that work?
So, Mr. Mayor, this battery will work about 45 minutes depending on your speed. And we, the gentleman we worked with, he didn't come tonight, but AGSA, American Green Zone Alliance, who helped convert all our soccer fields, hardscape, landscape parks to all electric. We'll show you, teach them not to have it 100% all the time. And you basically, you know, we have our guys that come every Thursday to our parks, and they'll have it about this level, and that's all you need to blow some of the sidewalk off. It lasts long. So this battery, this is a handheld. A backpack could last up to, we did it at AQMD parking lot, 2 hours. And this is equal to about 500 gallons of gas, not including the two-stroke oil you put in at the same time. So incredible savings, 85% off for batteries too. I'm not sure if you have a contractor that does your lawns or if it's city staff. Either way, if you've got some stuff, we even did it at a golf course. We replaced all our gas blowers and weed whackers. Great program. I'd recommend doing it now because our program with $3 million left, we did it about 3 years ago. It went in 2 years. LA Unified jumped in and grabbed about 285 of those. There's also the large 60-inch riding lawnmowers you see there. That's a stand-on right there in the green, but there's a sit-ons too. They go for about $20,000, $25,000. You can get them for up to $3,000. Never pay gas, oil again. Mr. Mayor, there's also funding. Every one of your residents every year pays a car registration fee of $4. You get 40% of that. And then 30% goes to AQMD, 30% goes to this middle one called the Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Committee from the 4 counties, and they just give out grants. At the top, that's money from AQMD. That's one of the highest from all my 34 cities, $331,000 in the last 15 years. As you notice in that first rectangle, funding available, Carl Moyer, deadline 5/9/23. If you've got any public works vehicles you want to get rid of that are old, falling apart, or diesel, want to get a new one, CNG, hydrogen fuel cell, electric, like we're doing a couple, you got a couple weeks. And there's a lot of money available. There was $57 million in it, so there's still money available in that fund. In the middle, there's a couple grants, but those are over right now. At the bottom, this is money, Mr. Mayor, that's the 40% you get every single year. And it just keeps building up. So I noticed in 2021, you had 211, 40, so you've got about 160, 170,000. And again, the only catch is it's got to be used to reduce mobile source pollution. So electric cars, charging stations, electric lawnmowers, hydrogen fueling stations, transit passes for people, whatever you can do that people aren't in cars. So we recommend use that money. I'm not going to mention the name of a city nearby. They had 500,000, didn't even realize they had it in a fund. So it builds up every year. Most of the cities have in that range. I think we have about 160 or 70 in South Pasadena. We kind of look at programs, and we're actually using some of that to transition our police fleet over to a Tesla Model Ys for patrol and Model 3s for detectives. So you may want to do a pilot program with a different type of police car once or a sheriff car. We just decided after studying it for several years to do the whole fleet at once. But we'll welcome when the vehicles are being upfitted right now. The Tesla's upfitted or unplugged by the SpaceX. Once they're done, if you want to come out and watch how we do it, happy to do it. Mr. Mayor, we also offer in the far left small business assistance. If you've got any businesses here that it could be anybody. It could be a warehouse. It could be a dry cleaners. If they've needs help, call us. We'll be out there in a minute. If you get a complaint, when I was in San Fernando, the council member mayor brought to our attention that there was a concrete plant in the city. It was in the city, but just on the border of LA, a lot of odors and dust. We sent our staff out there to notify the asphalt company. They're the one that's also closing down in Irvine this past couple months. And we noticed they didn't have all their record keeping like they should, so we issued a notice of violation. We went through the neighborhood and the schools that were complaining and said, here's all you have to do. Call their 1-800-CUT-SMOG. We'll have an investigator out there in a few minutes. We'll take samples, go back to the lab. If we need help, we'll help you. And we'll close down the company if they need to be closed down. There's a free mobile app, Mr. Mayor. As I come to my cities, I put it on. I noticed it tells the air quality in the cities. And today, all of our cities, unfortunately, because it's getting a little warmer, is not in the green zone. It's above 50 parts per billion. And in this particular matter, yours is 62. Ours was about 63 in South Pass. But as the summer goes on, the pollution in the air with the sun's going to get a little worse. We have 39, 40 some monitors throughout the basin, tells you what you're breathing. And if people can go to the store now and buy air quality sensors to see what the air quality is in your neighborhood. We have an air quality sensor performance evaluation center. We'll bring, if you want us to come down and test your sensors, we'll test them and let you know if they're any good. And finally, Mr. Mayor, you can call me at any time, Rainbow or Tim Sandoval. I'll be happy to help, and I'm here to answer any questions or be of assistance. Thanks, Chris.
Quick question, Michael. What's that app called? I'm looking on the slide there, and I didn't really see the name of it.
Back. The mobile app, it's, let me see right here. If you go to our website, you can put it on, John. It's just SCAQMD. I'll show you later if you want.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Questions?
Well, I really appreciate Michael showing up tonight. I saw Sherry Garwick, our Public Works Director, taking some notes. So maybe, I don't know if she's got any other questions, but she'd definitely be somebody to talk to.
I'll give her my card and speak with her.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor,
Thank you for taking the time, sir.
council members.
Okay. We'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the city council requests separate discussion.
Move approval.
Second.
Here's a minor correction on item 7. The recommendation is correct, but on page 156 of the agenda, on the second page of the staff report, item number 5 has a typo. Lot Q should be Lot 5, or Lot V. Lot V. Okay,
Move approval as amended.
Second.
okay. And item number 5 as an ordinance, could we read it, please?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Dimas, California, amending San Dimas Municipal Code Section 5.24.070P to allow fees for commercial movie filming to be adopted by resolution rather than by ordinance.
We have a motion for further reading.
Move to waive further reading and adopt.
All in favor?
Is there a second on that?
Yeah,
Second.
second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0 with one absent. Okay, we'll move on to other business. Approve a resolution for funding and participation in a permanent local housing allocation PLHA program and authorize the city manager or his designee to execute any and all documents necessary for funding and participation in the Los Angeles Urban County PLHA program. Ms. Flores?
Yes. Hi, good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the public. I'm Lily Flores, Housing Manager. So the item before you is the approval of permanent local housing allocation program funding for program year 1 and 2, and approval of participation in the Los Angeles Urban County permanent local housing allocation for program year 3. So back in September 2017, the California legislature approved Senate Bill SB 2, known as the Building Homes and Jobs Act, which established a $75 recording fee on real estate documents to increase the supply of affordable housing. The act established the permanent local housing allocation, known as PLHA. It established that program, and it's administered by the California Department of Housing and Community Development. The PLHA program provides funding to local government for housing-related projects and programs that assist in addressing the unmet housing needs of their local communities. Under the PLHA program, funding is provided to entitlement jurisdictions based on the formula prescribed under federal law for community development block grant, which is our CDBG funds. As a participating city in the Urban County Cooperation Agreement for CDBG with the Los Angeles County Development Authority, the city will receive their allocation from LOCTA based on the same CDBG formula, as long as the city meets the threshold requirements, including having a state-approved housing element. LOCTA submitted their initial 5-year plan to HCD in 2022 and has since worked with HCD through evolving requirements and extensive negotiations to execute a standard agreement that will program funding to eligible activities that will meet the local needs. LOCTA has provided the eligible activities that participating cities can administer with the PLHA funds. These 7 activities are multifamily rental housing, affordable rental ownership in ADU housing, matching funds to regional housing trust funds, housing for homeless, accessibility modifications for owner-occupied housing, acquisition and rehabilitation of foreclosed vacant homes, and home ownership opportunity assistance. On March 22nd, 2023, staff met with LOCTA's PLHA representatives, and we were informed that Year 1 and Year 2 funding was a combined allocation totaling $215,696, and we had an expenditure date of 12/31/2024. LOCTA also informed us that due to changes in the standard agreement, the city needed to select or reselect which eligible activities PLHA funds would be allocated to and which programs the city will be implementing. With the rise in homelessness in the homeless population and the needs for assistance for those at risk of homelessness, staff recommends administration of the PLHA funds to the Housing for Homelessness activity. Through this activity, staff recommends creating programs and providing assistance to the following subdivisions of housing for homelessness: rapid rehousing, rental assistance, supportive case management, operating costs for navigation centers, and/or operating costs for emergency shelters. For the current allocation of $215,696 with the expenditure deadline of 12/31/2024, staff is recommending creating and implementing a rapid rehousing program, which will offer housing relocation and stabilization services by offering short-term rental assistance to those experiencing homelessness, and a rental assistance program for our senior population who are at risk of homelessness. Before program implementation, staff will return to council for approval of the program and the program guidelines. Through both the rapid rehousing program and the rental assistance program, staff anticipates expending the full $215,696 in fiscal year 2023-2024. Additionally, on April 6, 2023, LOCTA released the Year 3 allocations of PLHA funding for participating cities. The City of San Dimas is entitled to receive $178,034 in PLHA funds. LOCTA anticipates funding will be available for cities' use by December 31, 2023, with an expenditure deadline of 12/31/2025. Cities with a state-approved housing element who wish to utilize their available allocation for PLHA eligible activities must submit a letter of intent by May 1st, 2023, or funds will be retained by the county for countywide programs. Staff recommends continuing participation in the PLHA program for Year 3 and proposes to continue allocating funds for the Housing for Homelessness activity. In conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council adopt Resolution 2023-24 for Year 1 and 2 PLHA allocations, and adopt Resolution 2023-25 approving participation in the Los Angeles Urban County Permanent Local Housing Allocation for Year 3, and authorize the city manager or his designee to execute any and all documents necessary for the funding and participation in the Los Angeles Urban County PLHA program. That concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have. Thank you.
Questions?
So I have a couple questions, I guess. Reading the report over the weekend, you know, LA County Development Authority has kind of been very in the iron sights this weekend.
Yes.
And when I read this and you talk about rapid rehousing programs, is that referring to like the voucher program that we have in the city, or is that something else that you're looking at developing?
It's something that we're looking to developing. The Section 8 program that we have is through the county. That's separate, completely different funding from this. This is something that the city would administer, and what we're thinking about or looking into is assisting the senior population who's at risk of homelessness, and that would be seniors age 62 and older who are at the 30% or below income, who pay more than 50% of their income towards their rent. So it's going to be our community, our senior community that are already in housing. We're just going to help them continue to stay in their home.
So that would be maybe some of the folks in our mobile home parks and things like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Any senior actually that rents. So it could be for like the Sunnyside apartments, our mobile home parks, all the mobile home parks.
Okay. And then the, I guess that's, as far as the, that's good news, first off. So we're not looking, how does this, I guess, how does this align with the homeless plan that the city funded with Measure H monies a couple years ago? It came up with a number of strategies for our community. And where does this fit into furthering any of those goals that were established with the city and the council?
Well, the rapid rehousing program that we're thinking of implementing would help those that are currently homeless get housed. So they would have to have an income, they would have to qualify for housing, and we would just assist them by either helping with their security deposit. A lot of people can move, have the means to move and pay the rent, but don't have the money to actually make that move. And we get a lot of calls on that where, they have found an apartment to move into, but they don't have the security deposit. So our hope is to help those that are ready to move out of homelessness into housing, and we'll help them with that, with, again, the security deposit. And we're thinking maybe like 2 or 3 months of rent just to help them. But they have to qualify on their own for that.
And this is utilizing existing housing infrastructure? This could be apartments anywhere throughout the city?
Yes, and a side note, it doesn't have to be in our city. So if we have a homeless resident in San Dimas and they find housing in Pomona or Fontana or anywhere in LA County, we can help them get housed by moving them there. So they don't have to find housing in our city. We just have to help house them.
If I might add a little bit, because you're talking about the homeless plan we approved, I think, in 2018-19. There are 5 goals in the plan. And so we've been, at the last budget cycle, the council also approved budget priorities that included homelessness as one of the priorities. And so what you saw first come forth was, Lakata's contract. We're proposing now a housing services coordinator, which one aspect of it is to help also prevent those who are near becoming unhoused. And what you're hearing in terms of the programming that we just aligned that we're recommending here goes along some of those 5 goals, which include, better understanding the needs of the homeless population, which is something Lakata is helping us do. And the 5th goal, which is preserving affordable housing options, where I may have a home and I'm at 30% of AMI, but I'm paying more than 50% in that home. It's an affordable home, but not for me, and I potentially could be bounced out into the streets because I can't afford it. So our goal is, with these programs on that respect, target those that are going to be potentially our future homeless and keep them housed successfully, while at the same time our other programs are intended to help get those off the street, like the ones I'm going to show some successes on when I do my update during the city manager's update.
Thank you.
Well, I'm supportive. If there are if there's no more discussion, I would make a motion. I think we can do them both at the same time. I would make a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-24 and 2023-25.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0 with Councilman Nakano being absent.
Thanks.
We'll move on to authorize the city manager to execute a lease agreement with the Area D Office of the Disaster Management and office space at the Martin House, 246 East Bonita, San Dimas. Chris, you might explain what Area D is.
Thank you. Regional emergency management coordination occurs with specific regions within the LA County under the auspices of the LA County Office of Emergency Services. We are within Area D, which has cities within the area going to the far borders to, I think it's 12 cities within us, Laverne, Claremont, Laverne, ourselves, Glendora, Covina, Azusa, all these cities are within the Area D regional body. Area D has one specific employee who manages and reports to a subboard, of which I'm an actual alternate member of on behalf of all city managers within all the cities within that region. The Area D office for that one employee is actually in San Dimas right now. It's just west on Bonita. Once you pass the bowling alley, It's the next block over in the 2-story building right there. And so they have an office with 2 rooms on the first floor there. Their lease is coming due at the end of June. And based on, we all pay fees as cities towards Area D to cover the expenses for all the regional planning they provide, the training, the coordination. And so I saw an opportunity where we had part of a building that was being unused, which is the Martin House, where currently we have the Chamber of Commerce residing in the Martin House under an agreement. And we also moved our Community Emergency Response Team program with our volunteer coordinator, Larry Giannoni, upstairs to one of the available rooms. And there are 2 rooms on the north side of the 2nd story, which are connected by a small hallway that are currently vacant and available. And so I saw an opportunity to both reduce some of the costs to the whole region for providing this, also keeping our regional planning body, the office, in our city. And it makes sense to now put it on the 2nd floor with our CERT team right next to the fire station and the city hall and the sheriff's station. So I think there's a great synergy there. And at the same time, generate rent and cover some of the utility costs, which right now we are not. The chamber currently does not pay rent for use of that facility. It's part of our contribution towards economic development and supporting our businesses. And so by putting Area D on a year-to-year contract, we will be receiving $1,000 a month in lease revenue, which we don't currently receive any revenue. And they will also share in the proportionate share of expenses for the building, which will then help offset the expenses, which all the utility expenses are on the city. And so the chamber covers a portion of property tax because of their possession. Now we're going to generate some additional revenue that we can put back in the facility to cover maintenance and not let that be fully a cost on the general fund. So with this, I recommend approval.
Any questions?
Move approval is recommended.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0 with Councilman Nakano out of the country. I just wanted to say that the Martin House is a building that, houses our Chamber of Commerce, and it had housed many other organizations within the city. It once housed the Festival of Arts, the rodeo. There's been several other organizations there who've benefited by us having that building. And those type of businesses or those type of features that the city had, we were capable of providing them the services of having it. But since both of those have at this point ceased to exist, I want to thank Chris for reaching out to Area D. I know he said something about him being the vice president of the world or something. But the reality is that was really smart thinking to be able to bring them there, and having had an opportunity to talk to a few folks that were involved in that program. They're very grateful that we reached out to them, and we're going to save them a few bucks, and we're actually going to start contributing to the maintenance of the building, and maybe we can get some new Christmas lights or something up there. So thank you, Chris. Thanks your staff. We appreciate it. Oh, excuse me. Thanks, Scott. You're Parks and Rec. Appreciate it. All right. Okay. Hearing no more discussion on this matter, we'll go to oral communications. Members of the audience and your speakers are limited to 3 minutes, or as may be determined by the chair. Anyone wishing to speak to the council at this time? Seeing none, we'll move to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is in regards to the Via Verde Street project. On Saturday, May 6th, from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m., the contractor will be paving at the entrance to the 57 freeway. The on and off ramp access will still be available, but we want to tell our residents to expect some delays and traffic. City staff have coordinated with Caltrans, the county, and Benelli Park with regarding the project, and we will be sending notices to impacted businesses that are around that area. I had received a question about how much of the paving was going to be done on the Via Verde project, and it's a pretty substantial portion because it's done in partnership with the county. So we're going to go all the way into the county side on the Benelli Park, including the Highway 57 overpass, and we're going to go 500 feet west of the entrance onto the 10 freeway on the furthest west portion of the Via Verde portion, go 500 feet past that. So I think you'll see a pretty dramatic difference in the quality of that roadway. And it was desperately needed, especially since it became a bypass for trucks during the pandemic. In terms of the San Dimas Loop, I want to compliment our public works staff and our consultants. They figured out a way that during the course of us figuring out how to properly repair the expensive repair of the loop, to come up with a concept that would provide two-way traffic. And so we're going to be restriping sometime in the middle of May the existing roadway portion that is still a good roadway, and do 2 lanes that are 12 feet wide to allow traffic to go back and forth at 20 miles an hour around that part. It should alleviate some of the inconvenience for our residents while we figure out how much the fix is going to be and where we're going to get the funding, whether it's through the state Cal OES, through the state legislature directly, or have to finance it ourselves out of our existing resources. In terms of the county's Foothill project, I know there's been a tremendous amount of communication. The Laverne city manager and I have been working together with the supervisor's office regarding getting a good understanding what this project actually is, and heavily conveying the importance of public outreach and engagement in whatever the county decides to do. We understand that this is not a city project, not a Laverne, not a San Dimas city project. It's a by right project that we have very, very limited impacts on what we can define, as it is also not just by right, it's also in county unincorporated. But upon finding out about this project on the Tuesday of the board meeting, it wasn't the project per se, it was the funding decision that the board was considering at the time. The Laverne city manager and I jumped in immediately, worked with the supervisor's office, who then was successful in getting a 30-day delay to May 16th for the consideration of the funding. Just this afternoon, the supervisor office, based on our continued work with the supervisor, is pushing to now get that project off the May 16th agenda and delayed to a date uncertain to ensure robust public engagement and outreach so that the community is able to speak to that. That would include us and Laverne in terms of that communication of what's important prior to any decision being made. So there should be now public on the supervisor's site, and we will put it on our site as an update, that update related to that delay. And the last update I have relates to Licata. Licata officially started in San Dimas on their contract on April 17th. This provided 3 additional days to the 1 day that we had currently through the Council of Governments. In just 1 week of their new service that they were providing to us, they made over 15 engagements with individuals for outreach and referrals. They also successfully assisted 3 individuals. They placed 1 female individual at an independent living facility, taking her off the streets of San Dimas, and assisted 1 male individual who was in an RV in our city into a location that's a safe parking location that allows them to park for 24 hours, which we don't currently have in the city. So I don't know what exactly city they ended up going to. Licata also successfully placed 1 female individual who had been working already with our existing 1-day-a-week team from Licata for the last several months in the Hope of Home in Pomona. And so after the Tuesday team assisted this individual for months in obtaining her birth certificate, her social security card, obtaining her ID, and taking her to DPSS in Pomona for services, the client finally wanted to be admitted to the Hope for Home for further assistance. As I had mentioned previously, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks of engagement with somebody on the street to take them from what the typical answer we get, which is, no, I don't want to access services, and get them to a point where they're open and willing to access those services. So engaging them 4 days a week and providing that services helps us get them there. And I think, as you can see, there are 3 individuals which were technically in-housed in the city of San Dimas that are no longer out unhoused because specifically of the services provided by Lakata. So I wanted to compliment them and their team. I wanted to compliment Lily Flores and Henry No and his housing division for the activities that they're doing. And I think to your priority with regards to homelessness, we're really making movement on that goal. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? Anyone any questions of the city manager? City attorney?
I have no reports tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Members of the city council, council members' reports on meetings attended at the expense of the local agency. Seeing none, we'll move on to council member requests for future items. Councilman Weber.
I actually have a few things here, so I'm going to try to keep it short. But first of all, thank you, Chris, for the update on the San Dimas Loop roadway closure thing. I know I've been getting a lot of feedback about that from residents up there, so I will take your update and post that on my social media as well to make sure it gets disseminated out to that neighborhood up there, because it has been a bit of a point of interest for them. And thank you for all the city staff that's been working on that. I know it's a large issue that's going to be more of a long-term solution, and there's a lot more work to do on that, but we appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll do what we can to keep everybody updated as the project moves along. The AQMD presentation, as Mr. Sandoval was up here talking, it reminded me of a conversation that I had with somebody just this last week. And it was a photograph of the home base, if anybody remembers home base in Glendora at Grand and I think Mauna Loa there. But it was of that home base there in the early 90s, and you couldn't even see the mountains. And it was something that I didn't even really, it didn't register that's the way it was back then. And it really sparked that memory of, being a young kid playing on the playground at my school and not even being able to see the mountains at all. And it's a good reminder of how much actually has been done as far as cleaning up our air. And, I don't know that there's been any smog days at my son's school where he can't go outside in the playground and play like I used to. But, it was a stark contrast to the beautiful view of the mountains that we have now. And, I truly the efforts to clean up our air have paid off. And, it leaves us with a beautiful backdrop for our city. The 626 Golden Streets event was this last Sunday, and I wasn't able to attend myself, but I saw a bunch of photos and it really looked like a great event. I'm really pleased that we were able to appropriate the funds to do that. I know there's some inconvenience that comes along with that, especially to our businesses down there, but I really appreciate city staff outside of the box solutions to balance our participation in that event. The event and the access to downtown businesses. I think that went really well. And obviously 740 East Foothill is going to be something that I'm sure we're probably all going to talk about in our comments, but I think homelessness itself is a larger, big picture issue aside from just that particular issue, that project, I guess. Everybody realized that is a growing problem in our region. And I just want to assure that the community that us as the city council and the city staff are going to be paying very close attention to what goes on with that particular issue in the county. And we'll do what we can to leverage the influence that we have. But of course, as the city manager was saying, there's very little realistically that we can do to have an appreciable impact on that, other than reaching out and engaging people through informal channels. I'm kind of disappointed that the county failed to engage with us earlier, and I think a lot of people are. It just kind of doesn't illustrate a whole lot of goodwill to me, but I think we can work together with our county partners, especially Supervisor Barger. I'm very thankful for her work with us and Laverne on this. And I think that's really important moving forward, is to establish those good relationships with her office. And to touch on a related topic, as the conversations related to this particular Foothill project have been swirling around on social media. I've seen that some people in the community have mentioned that San Dimas hasn't done anything for homelessness at all. Their perception is that we just don't do anything to house anybody. And obviously that's not the case. And I just want to point members of the public out to the many facets of services that all work in conjunction together to minimize the impacts of homelessness on our community. And really those services are all over the place, and they span from city staff preparing that plan to combat homelessness, which is a fantastic plan that was prepared a few years ago. As the city manager pointed out, a housing services coordinator, motel vouchers, which are frequently used, our public works department, which goes out and does homeless camp cleanups, our LA County Sheriff's Department, which has a multitude of resources, not only just our patrol deputies, but there are special teams dedicated to outreach for homeless individuals, narcotics enforcement, which plays a huge role in the transient population, and then also the mental health resources that the Sheriff's Department has. And then again, as the city manager pointed out, our large contract, especially the expansion of that contract with LA CATA or La CATA. But it's really a huge problem that there's no simple solutions to, but really the city is doing everything that I can possibly think of to attack this on all different levels. And the reality is, I think that that the people that we elect into state offices and into courtrooms who have made rulings on issues involving homelessness really do tie our hands as a city and limit what we can do. But I really am confident that while there is more work to do, there will always be more work to do in regards to mitigating the effects of homelessness. I really do think that the city is doing a fantastic job. And that is it. That was a longer one for me, so I apologize.
Okay. John said he's going to be a lot shorter.
About twice as long as Eric's. Shorter than normal, though. Maybe. Thanks, Eric, for especially talking about the many facets of homelessness. There's lots of causes, and there's so many things to do, and coordinating coordinating them all and trying to make them work together and have success is such a tough nut to crack. But just briefly on that, I wanted to thank Chris for his update on LA CATA, and just calling out or talking about the 3 individuals who were actually helped get treatment or get into a program or become temporarily at least not homeless. That contract, it just started. It was a couple $100,000 per year is what we're going to end up paying for those extra 3 days. So with that's 4 days altogether. But that is an important component, and it's great to see a little bit of success. So thanks to our staff for everything else they do, and then with LA CATA coordinating that and making that work. So just appreciate that, and looking forward to more successes like that. And they do everything else from like giving out snacks to taking people to the DMV to get an ID to just all sorts of different things that make life better for those who are on the streets, and trying to get them off the streets and into whatever they need to remain off the streets. Transitioning to the 740 East Foothill project, which is a permanent homeless housing proposal that was coming through the county. I think I speak for everybody that we were blindsided by that completely last week, and I really appreciate our mayor, of course, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I appreciate our city manager, Chris Constantine, for jumping on that and telling the county and Catherine Barger in the office in no uncertain terms that we were not happy with not being involved at all and just finding out about it all of a sudden. So I think his firm but measured approach with the county is having an effect, and he explained how we're getting a delay anyway, and we'll see where this goes. As Ryan mentioned in a post, and others have mentioned, there's a lot of things that we don't have any control over. but at least it's good for the communities to be involved and try to shape these projects as much as we possibly can. Related to that, the mayor and I were at the opening ceremonies of the Golden Streets Heart of the Foothills event, as was Chris and Brad, and I'm trying to think of other staff was up there. I can't remember, but I think it was the four of us. But Catherine Barger was in attendance opening that, so we all had a chance to talk to her and mention that personally, and I think other council members might have called her. But so that was a great opportunity to tell her, and I think hearing it from the public who have written many letters, I've gotten copies of so many of those emails, and the elected officials, the city manager, Mayor Hepburn of Laverne, and I think it's having at least the effect we can have. We've gotten so much feedback from the Fox Glen neighborhood, but not only that, people in San Dimas. So there needs to be housing for homeless individuals. How it's structured, what it looks like is the question that we're going to try to have some effect on. All right, speaking about the Golden Streets Heart of the Foothills event, so after I was over there, I biked part of the way, came back here, and then came down to our hub, and my goodness gracious, that was a great event. I didn't get to the Claremont hub or the Laverne hub. I heard Claremont especially was pretty good, but our hub was fantastic. I came down here probably around 9:20, and I talked to people saying, well, where were you? Well, it was hard to find anybody, and but you would hear, oh, I saw somebody over there, and I am not exaggerating that about that time, because it had just opened at 9, I'm saying there were 100 bikes out here, plus a lot of people walking and everything else. There were ready and already heading out that way. And I know I talked to one guy today who he biked to Claremont and back, got his wife, biked to Claremont and back again. So he got his 25 miles in, I guess. But here the hub was great. Our parks department, I saw so many people from all departments out there. And there was all these other agencies and vendors. We had plants, we had demonstrations, we had bouncers, music. It was just an awesome event. And I think, as Eric said, I think we ended up spending $15,000 net on that. Well worth it. And the only thing about the businesses is they wished it would have been in front of their stores, because I'm hearing more and more from the downtown businesses who want that street closed off during big events like this, because they feel they get a benefit from that now and going into the future. But it was an awesome event, and I'll just end on that note. So thanks to everybody involved and those all who participated. There were dogs, there were bubbles, it was amazing.
Ryan?
Thank you, Mayor. One is I wanted to thank staff for the last meeting. As most everybody knew, I was away in Washington, D.C., or Potomac, Maryland, actually assisting the United States Secret Service, and so that was a lot of fun. Learned a lot about the Secret Service I didn't know about, but my professional duties take me a lot of interesting places. So thank you, staff, for working through the time change and setting up all the technology so I could attend that meeting. I also was very much appreciative of the school district for bringing the kids for the usual Student and Government Day we do each year, so I think staff did a really good job. All of you, I stayed for most everybody's comments. I think I dropped off finally when it was about almost 12:15 in the morning where I was, and I had to be up very early for my duties. But anyways, thank you to staff, and very well done with that. I'm happy to hear about the San Dimas Loop. Thank you for looking into that, and thank you for looking into creative ways to be able to resolve that issue. I think there's a lot of people up there that have been impacted negatively by that. I drove up this weekend and took a look at it and hit the road closure, or at least I couldn't go any further than I had gone. And despite all of the signage, which I think you guys have put so many signs out there, I didn't know we had that many do not turn left or right signs, but good job on the safety aspect of that, and I'm happy to hear, and I'm sure the residents will be happy to hear, that we're going to figure something out. I do think that's a priority. One community member, was very clear. when we have reserves, that those reserves should be spent for incidents like this. And while I understand we have all of the different priorities in the community, I do agree that reserves are reserves for rainy day type of things. And quite literally, no pun intended, this was a rainy day that caused this. And hopefully it is something that we can remedy in the near future in whatever way possible. I wanted to applaud all of the sheriff, fire, staff, Larry, for the community emergency response team graduation that just occurred. I commend all of those people that participated in our CERT team and this last cohort of people that we actually had. Taking the time to be interested in disaster preparedness is very important. You never know when the next disaster will occur, and you don't know what that next disaster might be. I think nobody, when they created CERT many moons ago, thought that, a pandemic would be something that we would, here in San Dimas, actually use our community emergency response team for, and yet we did. And they were effective, and they've been effective in other things that these people who have been drawn into the emergency response team system get tasked to do. So I'm very proud of them, and thank you, staff and everybody that put on that graduation and the final exercise. I know it takes a little bit of coordination to do, but it is well worth it for everyone that attends. I also, on Sunday, my flight back from DC landed me in front of a guy, or sat me in front of a guy for 5 hours who had a lot of coughing to do on my flight. So somehow, some way, I ended up not feeling too well about a week or two ago. And so needless to say, I didn't venture out too much in the last couple weeks. Given that, which is why I missed the CERT graduation, and I stayed in from the Heart of the Foothills event as well. But I do want to say that I did see a lot of the photos, and I heard from some people. I did hear from people who were impacted by the closures. That is a thing. I think, we can only do so much to let people know, unfortunately, but I do think that overall the event, as we all know it will go, it did go good, and a lot of people from a lot of different areas had the opportunity to see our community and the neighboring communities. So I commend staff. I thank all the volunteers and all the organizations that helped make that happen. I'm appreciative of the points that Eric and John have made regarding homelessness. I think for some time, for much of my first term and now here on the second term, I've really hammered, homelessness, mitigating our issues with homelessness, challenging the accuracy of the LAHSA homeless count number, which I don't think methodology lends itself towards a very accurate reflection in the past. I think we're getting better, but there are a number of people who are homeless. I do think we need to address those issues in the community, and I'm very happy to see that we've worked towards and kept in mind the homeless plan that we funded with the Measure H money, and that we're continuing to work towards alignment in what we spend towards goals that we've outlined for the needs of this community. All of that being said, I think to the point that was raised by a member of the community earlier and to others, the project at 740 East Foothill Boulevard, the way for which I find out about it from social media and, hit you up, very early last week, I think was completely just clumsy of the county. I think it's completely clumsy of National Corps, who I still haven't heard from, and I haven't met anybody yet other than perhaps you and maybe some of the people from county staff that have actually heard from National Corps. I think it's just very poor what's happened. And I realize that it's outside of our jurisdiction. And, I know there's many residents of Laverne and San Dimas who feel helpless, in this particular scenario. I wonder about utilities and how those utilities are going to get to that site that appears to be unincorporated in a little island surrounded by incorporated city. That makes me scratch my head every once in a while. And I wonder about the infrastructure. I wonder about the impacts on public safety. I did have the opportunity to chat with Supervisor Barger a little bit before the Heart of the Foothills event, and I got a phone call from Senator Portantino, and we talked about this as well. And I appreciate the fact that the senator has been a advocate and an ally to local cities and local control for some time. I'm disappointed I didn't hear from our redistricted senator, Susan Rubio, who seems to want to be very active in the community and yet can't return a phone call about one of probably the most pressing issues in her newly redistricted area that's going to impact a number of people in this community. I do hope that the city pushes forward, and I appreciated the statements that went out from both city managers, the collaboration that's occurred between the city managers, Mayor Bedar, Mayor Hepburn, I think have done a good job in working together. I think some of the other council members as well have done their parts as needed. But make no mistake, you know, that project, which I live not too far from off of Foothill, you know, is going to very negatively impact not just me, not just the people that live adjacent to it, but all of these other people, to include the children that was mentioned earlier. And I think one of the things, and I posted about it on social media in the days leading up to this meeting, you know, is that the Montessori schools that are there is a therapy business there for children. There's a Subway there. At one point, there was a Red Dragon Karate there. There's a Domino's there. There's businesses there and things that attract youth. There's also a county park that's going to be the closest hangout for people to hang out at. And I wonder about the wraparound services that are being told for the formerly homeless people, that if they're not going to be the senior population that maybe could be the next best population to be served there, if the voices aren't heard from the community members who have very, I think, valid concerns regarding the placement of this, then I have to wonder, you know, where's the connectivity to the community? And, you know, I'm very disappointed in National Corps and Los Angeles County Development Authority, who profess on, even on their own websites, that they're about building better communities. And yet they spat in the face of this one in Laverne. They took absolutely no time to consult with anybody here, the city managers, the staff, the elected officials who represent the people that live here. And they literally, just under cover of darkness, if it hadn't have been for a couple of rather civically engaged residents, it got past all of us. And that's disgusting. And it's unacceptable. That's the bottom line. So, you know, I halfway wonder if we should agendize a topic so the council can formally talk about this at the next council meeting, because I fear that if we do not, then there will not be an opportunity for this council to send a letter of opposition or to be able to take some sort of action, because that next meeting would be the following week for the May 16th hearing that the Board of Supervisors would have. And so I don't know what's going to develop between now and then. I'm hopeful, and what you said tonight gives me some hope that perhaps there will be robust public comment heard. But I also fear that it almost appears in some of the messaging that it's a foregone conclusion that this thing is going to be passed ministerially by right. In which case, I think, why patronize the public? Just put it in there and tell us all to shut up, because that's the messaging, if that's really what it is. And I think that's poor too. So I don't know if any of you guys would like to do that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Then at the next council meeting, let's agendize this. And I would like to be very clear, because I know what potential can of worm that opens for the public. I know, at least I think I've heard, or this city and the manager had put out, you know, a pretty clear statement on what the city's position is about this. I'm not necessarily hoping that the meeting, our next council meeting, I hope people understand it is not within the city's jurisdiction or purview to be able to approve, deny, or otherwise change that project. So I would hope the public understands that. The purpose of the discussion is for the city council to consider potentially authoring a letter in opposition and taking a stance as a city, or otherwise discussing potential options for what the city may be able to learn from, whether that's from the city attorney or the city manager, in the developments of things that could happen between now and then. Is that good? Yes, Chris?
That's not a problem. I just want to clarify. whether you're also open to a special meeting since we will be missing a council member from the first meeting in May, or whether you want it at the regular scheduled meeting.
I would not necessarily be opposed to a special meeting if the other members of council are not. However, there is a time frame that it will take to get a letter and to have it submitted for public comment consideration should the Board of Supervisors elect to take that item up on the 16th.
Who's missing? You?
No?
What council member is missing?
My understanding is that we had a council member out of
Oh,
town.
yeah. Hey, that's going to be me.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what I thought.
Oh, well, I can attend virtually. We could work that out.
If virtually is okay, then not a problem. We can,
Yeah, I'll
we
eat
can do
it.
that.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure we didn't schedule it and then unfortunately have somebody missing that.
No, I'm gonna be on city business anyway, so yes, I will, as long as we can make that work, yes.
Absolutely. So we'll schedule it for the next meeting.
It's JPIA. Yeah. Okay, and then other than that, I digress. I'm gonna take a breather, but I am gonna say that, I do very much want the residents to know that it doesn't fall upon deaf ears, and I think that, especially as the 4th council district of San Dimas representative in that area, I'm very aware. I grew up in that area. I went to that dairy. My little sister went to that Montessori school. So I've walked very much from there to Laverne to the San Dimas Canyon Park and Horse Thief. There's a lot of things that go into this, including the residents that live immediately to the south of this proposed development, and then those who live in Laverne adjacent to. So, I want everyone to know, it's not fallen upon deaf ears. I know every single person that sits on this city council is a intelligent person, a thoughtful person, and I think that we'll do whatever we can to make everybody's voices heard, both from our seats and as individuals. Thank you.
Okay. There's been a lot said. I'll just real brief. I can tell you one-on-one, just like John, I had an opportunity to speak with Supervisor Barger, and she's very aware that we're a little bit concerned about communications. And when I say a little bit, that little bit is as big as the world can get, because we made it very clear, or at least I made it very clear, that we seem to have this problem with communications with the county. I'll remind you that not more than a few years back, we had something called Operation Home Key, or Room Key, where they were going to walk in and they were going to take over the Motel 6, and we didn't hear about it till 2 days or 3 days prior, and then a bunch of scrambling. And that's the same type of event. When I spoke with the managing partners of Motel 6, their first conversation says, well, the county has told us that you guys are totally in favor of it. And then so we set that straight. The next morning we had about 800 people standing outside of Motel 6, and I got a phone call from the managing partner of Motel 6 from Texas, who said, hey, we're pulling out of this deal. So our noise, our voices mean something, but the reality is the state's going to the state and the county. They have a mind of their own. I think what's learned here for a lot of members of both communities, Laverne and San Dimas, a lot of folks had no idea that wasn't one of our cities. That little area, that area is actually county property. I think if you drove down the street, most normal people would be, where's the boundary for San Dimas, or where's the boundary for Laverne? And they would basically say it's like right in the middle. They don't know. They didn't realize that we really have no control of that. But there has been a lot of conversation. I can tell you, since last Monday, it has been the topic around everywhere. And you're absolutely right. And ma'am, I want to thank you for coming, even though, you're going to see support, a lot more support, I can guarantee you. We'll do the best we can do, but as it's been said at least 4 times up here, we may not have very much control, but they're going to know that we're not we're going to deem on the fact that transparency is better for us than anything else. And let us tell us what's going on. And Supervisor Barger knows that. And I know that Chris has been in touch with their chief deputy and everything. And I can tell you, I've talked with Tim Heffburn from Laverne, and we're in lockstep. So we will do everything that we can do, and we'll continue to do it. As John said, John and I met out in the city of Pomona for the opening ceremony of Heart of the Foothills bike run. I did see John. He told you a little bit of a stretch. He rode his car to his daughter and son-in-law's, or son and daughter-in-law's house, and then rode a bike over to the event. He forgot to tell you that he had this car in the middle.
Then I had to ride back to their house to get the car, and that was uphill. So
But I wanted to thank John. He showed up over there, and all four communities. It proved that you have San Dimas, Laverne, Claremont, Pomona. It was a sign that we may be 4 different cities, but we're truly one big community, because you could see the people and things. So once I spoke over there, I made my way back here just like John did, and 4 years ago when they had this event, it was shocking how many people were out there. And quite honestly, you could see the amount of people that were out there this time, and it was proof that people are starving to get out and about, okay? And it was jam-packed. They had kids in strollers, you had puppies in strollers, you had people, bicycles built for 2, pulling bands. It was really quite interesting, and well, I did want to thank the staff. I know that there was a little bit of a glitch. A couple of days prior, it looked like all these volunteers that were supposed to be here might not be here, but you know what? This event went off. Our staff did a great job, and I'm not sure how many people actually showed up from the program, but once again, I want to say thank you very much. Last week we had a golf course committee meeting, and the only thing out of that I just wanted to mention was the American Golf is still citing that they're hoping to open up the clubhouse up there in July. It's been a long time coming. I guess there's been this problem or that problem, but long story short, I think we're all going to be gratefully satisfied when we get it. We're going to get a whole new rebuilt inside, much larger, to be able to have larger events there, a bigger kitchen, and a lot of good amenities that unfortunately got created by a fire that nobody wanted, but we're going to end up with something that we'll be able to have a benefit there for many, many years. I along with the city manager, attended the CERT graduation in the city of Glendora, and it was pretty interesting because these people are very, very eager to help and to do the things that give community service. It was fortunate for us that we had 9 graduates, and it was held in the city of Glendora, and they had 4 graduates. But all 13 of them were as eager as you could be. We sat through a program or a project that they did for showing how to look for casualties inside of a collapsed building, and it was pretty interesting. I didn't realize 14 to 13 people could have so many injuries and be very loud at letting you know that hey, I'm over here. I got a headache. Long story short, it was proud. When we talk about the homeless, one thing we're doing things with these homeless, and we're going to work with them and continue to work with them, and that goes in a program that's citywide, community-wise. I want to reach out and just say, had several conversations with deputies recently, deputies and supervisors, and it's surprising to me of how many of those day watch guys that are coming to work drive past locations where they know our homeless, assemble or sleeping and stuff like that. So they know that when they're driving, they look and they see, so that when they clear a roll call, or I think the sheriffs call it briefing, okay, when they clear that, the first place they're going is to go get these people up and moving and try to help them, see if they can provide them some services. I just believe that it just goes to show that this isn't just a place to come to work. It's a place that they want to be proud of also. And I know that our staff does the same thing. When they're on the way to work, they see something, they make sure that their supervisor knows, or they do it. But thank you very much. Something that's coming up sooner than we think. It's probably a couple months away, but I just want the council to think about National Night Out. It's coming. We've had a couple of different versions of it, but last year we had it in the park here, and it was a success. We had to invest a little money. The program, I believe, is well worth it, and I believe most of the council believes that. So I would like the council to start considering if we could do something on the same order we did last time, which will involve, putting out some funding. I think the last year's fund was somewhere around $5,000 we contributed to have it, and there were lots of people there who enjoyed it. I don't know, it's in the city manager and the captain's hands, but it's in our hands if we want to fund it, so I don't know how the best way to reach that.
I'd be supportive of that.
Well, since you guys want it, it's in the budget. Actually, we had the line item in the budget. It was buried pretty deeply in the budget pages, but we have $5,000 currently allocated for the National Night Out. And we'll promise not to put any council members in vehicles in 110 degrees with no air conditioning in the windows.
Yeah, as long as you don't do that again, we'll be fine. Yeah. Extra legroom, not Southwest.
So, all right, that's really about all I had to say. I didn't really mean to say so much, but at the end of this meeting, we're going to go into closed session. At this time, we will be going into closed session to discuss 2 cases of anticipated litigation and conference with legal counsel. Anyone have anything else to say? Move for adjournment? So moved. Good night.